You are walking through a quiet room, and then you stop. Something on the floor is not moving. In the year 79 in Pompeii, people froze exactly like this. It is a shape you have seen 1,000 times. A human shape, but wrong. The stillness is total. No breath lifts the chest. And before your mind forms a single word, your body has already decided. Your skin cools. Your stomach tightens. You take a step back without choosing to. You do not know why you did that. Something ancient in you reads that stillness as a warning. You just know you want to be somewhere else, right now. So here's the question. Why does a body without life feel so deeply wrong? Not sad, not merely strange, wrong, in a way that reaches your gut before your thoughts. You have never been taught to fear a corpse. Nobody sat you down and explained the rules. Yet the reaction arrives fully formed. The same in Tokyo and Lagos and rural Peru. The pounding chest, the urge to step away, the strange reluctance to touch. You feel it whether you are brave or squeamish, religious or not. The reaction does not check your beliefs first. It simply fires and then asks questions later, if it asks at all. This matters more than a scary feeling. For most of human history, being near the dead could actually kill you. The way you treated the dead could decide whether your family survived the week. Get it wrong, and sickness could sweep through everyone you loved. So your ancestors' instincts were not random. They were a rule book, written in fear, passed down in your nervous system. And that rule book is still open inside you today. So let's walk through it together, carefully and kindly, because this is a tender subject. We will start with something simple, a feeling you already know. Then we will follow it down, past your nose, past your instincts, all the way to a truth that turns the whole thing inside out. No fear, no fluff, just the real story of why the still shape on the floor pulls you backward. We will treat it with the seriousness it deserves, and with a little warmth too. By the end, you will understand why the dead frighten you. And you may find that the fear is protecting you from a danger that, quite often, is no longer even there. Let's start with something small and familiar. Disgust. Not horror, not grief, just that wrinkle of the nose when something smells off. You feel it at spoiled milk, at a slick of mold, at a stranger's used tissue. It feels petty, almost childish. Here's the thing nobody tells you. Disgust is one of the oldest survival tools you own. In 2011, the researcher Valerie Curtis laid this out in the journal Philosophical Transactions of the Royal Society. She argued that disgust is a behavioral immune system. Your body has an immune system of white blood cells that fights germs after they get inside you. But that is the second line of defense. Disgust is the first. It is the part of you that keeps the germs out in the first place. Think of it as a bouncer standing at the door of your body. It cannot see bacteria, so it watches for clues instead. Rot, slime, waste, bad smells. The things that tend to carry disease. When the bouncer spots a clue, it does not ask questions. It just recoils and pulls you back before you have thought a single word. And notice how fast it is. You do not decide to be disgusted. It happens to you, faster than reason. That speed is the entire point. A guard that stopped to deliberate would be a guard that got you sick. Consider how strong it can be. The idea of drinking from a cup someone sneezed in can turn your stomach even if you never touch it. That is the guard working on imagination alone. And here's the quietly amazing part. This system is nearly universal. People across every culture studied feel disgust at the same core triggers. Bodily fluids, decay, signs of sickness. That consistency is a fingerprint of evolution, not of custom. And your culture only sharpens the tool it was handed. One group recoils at pork, another at insects, a third at a stranger's cup. The specific targets shift from place to place. The underlying machinery does not. It runs quietly in the background of your whole life, sorting the safe from the unsafe, 1,000 tiny judgments a day you never notice. So disgust is not a flaw in you. It is a very old, very loyal guard. The bouncer does not just glance at a corpse, it panics. Now follow that guard down to your nose. Because your sense of smell has a secret, it can detect death before you consciously know death is near. When a body dies, it begins to break down. Bacteria go to work, and they release chemicals with fittingly grim names: putrescine, cadaverine. Say them out loud, and you can almost hear the rot. These molecules are the actual scent of decay. And in 2015, a study in the journal Frontiers in Psychology found something unsettling about how you react to them. Researchers exposed people to putrescine, briefly, at low levels. They compared it to ammonia and to plain water. And the putrescine did something the others did not. It made people more alert, quicker to react, more vigilant. In one experiment, a whiff of it made people walk away faster, putting distance between themselves and the source. Here's the strangest part. Most of them had no idea why. Many did not even register a smell. The chemical slipped under the door of awareness and spoke straight to the alarm system. And that's not a metaphor. That is a genuine chemical trigger, wired into you below the level of thought. Think about that for a second. There is a smell that can make you flee before your conscious mind even votes. Scientists call putrescine a chemosensory warning signal. Your body just calls it a reason to leave. And your brain treats that hidden warning as real, not imagined. It does not wait for proof. It would rather move you 100 times for nothing than leave you still on the one day it mattered. That is the logic of every good alarm: loud, early, and willing to be wrong. And unlike your eyes, your nose does not need the lights on. In the dark, in smoke, around a corner, the warning still arrives. It is the reason a place can feel haunted before you have seen a single thing. So you carry a tiny death detector in your face and it never really switches off. But it is not only smell, it is the sight of the thing. A dead body looks almost exactly like a living one. And that almost is the whole problem. In 1970, a Japanese roboticist named Masahiro Mori noticed a strange pattern. He was thinking about robots, not corpses. He observed that as a robot looks more and more human, we tend to like it more and more, up to a point. Then, right before it becomes convincing, something flips. The nearly human thing stops feeling charming and starts feeling deeply creepy. Mori called this dip the Uncanny Valley. In Japanese, Bukimi no Tani, the Valley of Eeriness. And here's the thing nobody tells you. Mori pointed straight at death as his example. He wrote that a dead person's face can be profoundly uncanny. It has a human shape, human features, but the color is gone, the movement is gone, the blink is gone. Your brain runs a lightning check. It sees a person. It expects a person. And the person is not there. That failed expectation is the eeriness crawling up your spine. Think of it like a song you know by heart, played one note wrong over and over. The wrongness is loud precisely because the rest is so right. A rock does not fall into the uncanny valley. A tree does not. Only something that looks like us but is missing the spark can drop us into that specific dread. And a body is exactly that. It is the face you know, emptied. Your mind is a relentless pattern matcher tuned above all to faces. You see faces in clouds, in cars, in burnt toast. So a real human face gone still hits that system like a false note in a beloved song. The pattern is there, the life behind it is not. And the gap between them is where the dread lives. There is a reason horror is full of things that are almost people. Zombies, mannequins, wax figures with glassy eyes. They all live in Mori's Valley, borrowing their power from the same source. So the fear of the dead is partly a fear of the almost. The shape says, stay. The stillness says, run. And you are caught, frozen, in the little valley between them. Here you might assume this is a human thing, a burden of our big, worried brains. It is not. Out in the wild, other animals notice they're dead too, and some clearly struggle with it. There is a whole field for this now. It is called comparative thanatology, the study of how animals respond to death. And the observations are hard to shake. In 2018, an orca off the Pacific coast, known to researchers as Tahlequah, carried her dead calf through the water for 17 days. She would not let it sink. She pushed it back to the surface again and again, across roughly 1,000 miles. Tahlequah's journey stunned the world partly because it looked so much like ours. A mother, unwilling to let go, carrying her grief in plain sight. Elephants do it too. They approach the bodies of their dead, and the bones touch touching them gently with their trunks, returning sometimes years later. Chimpanzees have been seen sitting with a dead companion, grooming it, even cleaning its teeth. Crows do something different and telling. When a crow finds a dead crow, it calls out and others gather in a loud crowd around the body. Researchers think this is not grief so much as a meeting. The crows appear to be learning. What killed this one? Is this place dangerous? And it is not just the brainy, famous species. Scientists have logged death responses in dolphins, giraffes, gorillas, dogs, and even insects. The forms differ wildly, but the pause at the dead runs deep and wide. The details differ. A crow's noisy caucus, an elephant's silent vigil, your own quiet chill. But underneath, the same ancient recognition. Let's be honest, it is humbling. Your dread at a body is not a modern neurosis. It is a very old animal reflex, one you share with creatures separated from you by millions of years. There is comfort hidden in that if you look for it. Your unease at the dead is not a private malfunction. It is a thread that runs through the living world, older than language, older than fire. You are not broken. You are connected. So what did our ancestors do with a feeling this powerful? They gave it a shape. They built rituals. Reach back far enough, and you find the dead being buried with care. At least 120,000 years ago, both early humans and Neanderthals were placing their dead in graves. Some were laid in deliberate positions. A few were left with objects, stones, animal remains, small gifts for a journey no one could see. Think about what that means. This is one of the oldest cultural acts we know of. Before cities, before writing, before farming, people were already doing something with their dead beyond walking away. And here's the thing nobody tells you. A funeral is not only about grief. It is also a machine for handling fear. Ritual takes a raw, dangerous, overwhelming situation and hands everyone a script. What to do with your hands, where to stand, when to speak, who touches the body, and how. It converts terror into procedure, and that is deeply practical. A body does need to be dealt with, quickly and carefully. Ritual makes sure it happens, and it protects the living while they do it. It's not a metaphor. It is crowd control for one of the hardest moments a human ever faces. And notice, every culture on Earth built some version of this. Burial, cremation, sky burial, wakes, shrouds. The details vary wildly. The impulse never does. And rituals do one more quiet thing. They give the survivors a way back. After the script is finished, the fear has been spent, and life is allowed to continue. And the objects in those ancient graves tell you something tender. A tool, a flower, a piece of ochre placed beside a body that could no longer use them. That is not fear alone. That is fear braided together with love and memory and hope. So when a death ritual feels strange to you, remember what it is really doing. It is taking that ancient chill in your chest and giving it somewhere to go. Now here is where it turns. Because after all of this, all the disgust and dread and instinct, you would assume a dead body is genuinely, urgently dangerous. Most of the time, it is not. This surprises almost everyone. After disasters, after floods and earthquakes, there is always a fear that the bodies will cause an epidemic. In 2023, the World Health Organization and the Red Cross said it plainly. Dead bodies from natural disasters and conflict do not generally pose a health risk to the public. Researchers had shown this years before. A study from the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine back in 2004 called the epidemic fear a myth. The logic is simple once you hear it. People who die in a disaster usually die from trauma or drowning, not from plague or cholera. And most germs that could harm you do not survive long in a body once it is dead. The corpse of someone freshly gone is, in cold biological terms, rarely a source of contagion. Think about that for a second. The fear is enormous, and the danger so often is small. Now, this is not a free pass. In an outbreak like Ebola or cholera, a body can absolutely spread disease. Contaminated water is a genuine risk, so the instinct is not foolish. But it is loud. It fires at full volume even when the actual threat has quietly left the room. It is a little like a smoke alarm that keeps shrieking long after the toast is thrown out. The signal was vital once. The wiring cannot tell the emergency has passed. Consider the strange arithmetic of it. The safest corpse imaginable may trigger the loudest alarm of all, precisely because it is so close and so like you. Your dread is not measuring this body today. It is measuring 10,000 generations of bodies, most of which really could have killed you. You inherited the alarm from ancestors who could not test for pathogens and could not afford to guess wrong. So they treated every corpse as dangerous, and they survived and they handed you the same setting. So sit with the strangeness of it. The thing you fear most in that room may be, on this particular day, the safest thing in it. Your body cannot know that. It only knows the pattern, and the pattern says danger, and so it speaks. This is the deepest twist in the whole story. The size of your fear was set long ago by a world that no longer entirely exists. Let's be honest about the limits here. None of this means your fear is silly, and none of it means you should override it. Sometimes the danger is very real. A body carrying a serious infectious disease can genuinely threaten the people around it. That is exactly why doctors and disaster workers use gloves and care and strict procedure. The instinct pointing you away from decay has saved countless lives, and it still can. There is also more here than germs. When you stand before someone you loved, the chill you feel is not only disease avoidance. It is grief and awe and the pure vertigo of loss. Those are not the same as fear, and they deserve their own respect. And there is a lot science still cannot say. We can measure the reflex, we can point to the chemicals in the circuits, we cannot fully explain the ache. So hold two truths at once. The fear can be outdated and still be worth listening to. Wisdom is not ignoring the alarm. It is learning when to trust it and when to breathe and walk closer anyway. So take all of this gently. The fear is old and often wise, sometimes outdated, and always tangled up with love. It is not one thing. It is never one thing. So here is the twist, the thing that reframes all of it. The circuit that recoils from a dead body is the very same circuit that stops you eating rotten meat. It is not a special horror reserved for death. It is your everyday disgust, your food and filth alarm turned all the way up. The thing that saves your dinner is the thing that dreads your dead. And that means your fear of the dead is, at its root, an act of love for the living. It exists to keep you alive. Every recoil, every step back, every wave of unease is an ancestor whispering the same instruction across 100,000 years. Stay away from what can hurt you. Stay alive. Here is the line to keep. Your fear of the dead is really your body's fierce, clumsy, ancient loyalty to your own life. Think about that for a second. The dread is not morbid, it is protective. The same force that flinches from spoiled water now stands guard over the deepest reminder of mortality there is. It cannot help itself. It loves you too much to stay quiet. That is not weakness, that is inheritance. It is the oldest kind of love there is, the kind that keeps a body breathing. It does not speak in words, it speaks in flinches, in chills, in the sudden need to step back. Every one of them is a vote for you to live another day. And there is one more turn. That old alarm often fires at a danger that has already gone. The freshly dead loved one before you is, so often, no threat at all. Yet, the instinct blares anyway, because it was built for a harsher world. So you feel the fear and you honor it, and then you can gently set it down. You get to walk closer than your ancestors ever dared. So the next time you feel that chill, the one that arrives before your thoughts, you will know its name. It is not weakness, it is not superstition. It is the oldest guard you own, still standing at the door, still doing the job it was made for. You are walking through that quiet room again. Something on the floor is not moving. And this time, when your skin cools and your body pulls you back, you understand. That fear is a gift from everyone who came before you, every ancestor who feared and fled and lived long enough to pass you down. So feel the chill and thank it, and then choose what to do next. That choice is yours. And it always was. They are still looking out for you. The dead asked nothing of you but this small courage. To look. And not only to flee. All you have to do is feel it. And know it, and be a little more gentle with the dead and with yourself.